Our next honorable mention on the Locked On Senators 2023 NHL Draft rankings is Adam Gajan, goaltender from Slovakia and Pilsy. I saw this guy play against Canada at the World Juniors, made 53 saves, and immediately I said, we have to profile him.
Yeah, Ross, I don't think you were the only one that had those same thoughts after that game, especially when Connor Bedard basically had to pull off one of the most incredible moves we've ever seen to be able to score on him in overtime. And there's a reason he's so difficult to beat, and that's because he's got good size, he's got good reflexes, and this is a guy that he has a flair for the dramatics, Ross. He has no issues making a spectacular split save, coming across the crease to stop one-timers, flashing the glove, whatever he's got to do to make that save. He's got a bag of tricks up his sleeve.
And I will say there are more talented goaltenders in the draft than him, but maybe none more entertaining to watch because he is sliding side to side, as you mentioned, in the splits. He's doing everything but cartwheels and legitimately standing on his head, even though many would argue he did do that in the Canada game at World Juniors. He wasn't even supposed to start for Team Slovakia at World Juniors. He gets in against the United States. It was one of those where Team Slovakia just kind of thought it was a write-off game. They wanted to rest their starter, and he played so well that they had no choice but to go back with him. He beat Slovakia, beat USA with Slovakia, made 33 saves, was unreal, shut out Latvia the next game, and just took the reins and ran with it. And that's kind of the story of the season for Adam Gajan. And I know he played most of it in the North American Hockey League, which is like a watered-down Canadian Junior A league, and he's a draft +1 kid. He's 19 years old right now. But for a goaltender, I think less than anyone else, being a +1 is probably a good thing. And the fact that he's already on North American soil, playing on small rinks, played for the Green Bay Gamblers and Chippewa of the NAHL, and he's committed to a great university in Minnesota-Duluth. So Pilsy, lot to like overall for the 6'3" tendy.
Yeah, I think Adam Gajan has set himself up to succeed here. Like you mentioned, already over in the States. I think going to University of Minnesota-Duluth is a great spot for him. And it'll be interesting to see where he ends up going, Ross, because I don't think he's quite as prestigious and touted as some of the other goalies we've mentioned, like Jacob Fowler or Harabel or Trey Augustine. Like, I don't think he's in that echelon, but if you're a team looking to draft a goalie, and I believe every team should draft one goalie per draft, it's just a good gamble to take. Maybe you're looking at Gajan being like, maybe we can pick him a little bit later than those other guys and still potentially get a quality goaltender out of him. So I'll be interested to see if teams prefer that he is an overager. Maybe he's 1 year further along in his development. He's already committed to a good school. Or if they say, let's use a higher draft pick and get one of these younger, kind of more highly touted guys.
So I agree with your sentiment. And if I didn't have Bob McKenzie's rankings in front of me that just came out, I would probably agree with you even more so. But he's ranked 60th on Bob McKenzie's list, meaning he sees him and NHL scouts see him as a second round talent. That to me would be a bit of a reach. I think he's probably a third round goalie for me.
Do we have the other goalies on Bob's ranking? Where do they stack up?
Yeah, I can tell you that Carson Bjarnason is one spot ahead of him. He of the Brandon Wheat Kings. Then ahead of him is Michael Harabel at 39, and that's it.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Jacob Fowler is down at 92 on the list, and that's it there.
All right, so that could very well be the case. So maybe I'm mistaken, and that's why I pose the question. I wonder if that's how things are going to play out. But that's the thing with Adam Gajan is that he really is able to use his reflexes, and he plays with a lot of energy rather than being that precise, positionally sound guy. So there's pros and cons to that. The pros are that he's going to be able to make saves out of position a little bit better than those positionally sound guys. But then the cons of that is there could be times where it's just a matter of all you had to do was have a nice clean movement here. You didn't have to go crazy or kick the legs up or do anything. You just had to make a simple save, and maybe you did a little too much and it ends up sneaking past you.
And you see that with high goals going in on him. Now, the spots on a goalie where the puck goes in, Elite Prospects does a great job with this on their draft guide. Man, upstairs, 30 shots, only 21 saves, 9 goals against on 30 shots above the shoulders on either side. And that speaks to the way he plays. He's always going down. And it's not even your classic butterfly, because at 6'3", he'd probably still be able to make some saves up high. He is, I don't want to say flopping, because then it makes it kind of seem like it's, embellishing and trying to force injury. No, but like he plays like a floppy style of hockey.
Yeah, like what I noticed, Ross, is when he goes into the butterfly, he's leaning forwards a
Yeah.
lot, and that gives him like that kind of crouch.
He
And
plays small.
yeah, and that's the thing, that leaning forward and having that kind of split style butterfly, it really opens up the top shelf, which I think is apparent by his stats there.
But he would also probably tell you it helps his explosiveness to get into different saves, right? When he's
Yep.
got all of his power loaded in his knees. But it's unsustainable at the next level. I like how EP calls him an energetic goalie as
Yep.
well. That's certainly fair to say. But he needs to go somewhere where there's a great goalie coach who can work with him to round out his game, because it's pretty raw right now, but the talent is there.
But that'll be interesting to see, Ross, if he gets kind of a strict goalie coach on him, really kind of tightening up those energetic movements, because that might completely change how he plays the game. And then once it's in your head, you can't be doing the things you're used to doing. Then you're overthinking things as a goalie, and then it doesn't always work out. Goalies can be absolute mental cases sometimes. So if you end up switching a big part of their game and it affects their mentality, it could have either really positive effects or really negative effects. So I'm not saying it's going to go one way or another. I'm just saying it'll be interesting to follow along.
Oh, it's going to be super interesting. But when you see the natural skill and ability, and you see the big game ability to come through
Yeah.
in the clutch that he's been able to show time and time again, I would take a third round flyer on Adam Gajan. If he's still available in the third round, he's the kind of guy who would kind of skyrocket up my board at that point, because you see the raw talent. And like you said, in a class where there are a few goalies to choose from, he could be one of the sneakier options. And I like that, if you want to kind of wait in the weeds and not get involved in the domino and saying, oh, one goalie went up, we either have to trade up or we need to get our goalie right now. Maybe this is a guy you can kind of creep up and grab in the third round.
Yeah, I'm kind of having second thoughts about that, Ross, because thinking about it, like the World Juniors and putting up big games like that on the biggest stage, that's where a lot of these scouts put a lot of time and kind of purpose into their scouting. So he really popped off there. So maybe he's going to be more highly sought after than we're kind of leading on here.
Yeah, could be. Chris Peters mentioning that the quickness and his ability to compete make up for the lack of refined technique, but he seems to have a good feel for the game too. So a very raw talent, but one that could make a huge impact in the
Mhm.
National Hockey League. I'm trying to think of a comparable for him. And like, I know he's a smaller goalie than Gajan, but he kind of plays a little bit like Jonathan Quick back in the day. You know, that really low stance, that
Yep.
explosive side to side, always leaning forward, but he makes highlight reel saves. That's what Adam Gajan does.
Well, Ross, it's hard to find a player comparable for him because most goalies don't play that style anymore. Most, it's all about being exactly where you need to be, precision, focus, all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different of a style for sure.
We are profiling more than 50 players this year in the NHL draft. The mock draft is live, full first round, and we've got, I want to say we're doing 5 different goalies this year. So we're fired up. Let us know in the comments where Adam Gajan ranks in all of your goalie prospects in this draft. For me, it goes Michael Hrabal, right behind him, Jacob Fowler, and then I'm going with Adam Gajan,
Okay.
slightly ahead of Trey Augustine. That's how I have mine. How do you?
Yeah, I'll probably go Rabel first as well. I really like him. Augustine is a tough one for me. I just think when you play on the U.S. national team program, it's tough to judge how good of a goalie you actually are. So yeah, I'll probably stick with the same list as you actually. Rabel, Fowler, then Guyan, then Augustine.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments your thoughts. That's Adam Gajan out of Slovakia. He's been playing in Chippewa and Green Bay. He will attend next season at the University of Minnesota-Duluth.